Emergency lockdown initiated. Zilax's voice cracked across the combat arena as his hand slammed the master override. According to YouTube analytics, 98% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, all cadets to maximum defensive posture. Now. 300 of the galaxy's finest warrior candidates snapped into combat formation, weapons charged, shields humming with enough energy to withstand orbital bombardment. The observation deck filled with senior instructors, each one a decorated veteran of campaigns that had shaped galactic history. And in the center of the training floor stood Emma Williams, wearing workout clothes and sneakers, with what she called a dog sitting calmly at her left side. Is this really necessary? Emma gestured at the 50-foot reinforced barriers rising from the floor. I haven't even given him the attack command yet. Kaeldra, the Academy Commandant, leaned forward in her observation pod, all four of her eyes focused on the creature. Instructor Zilax, the human claims this is a domesticated companion animal. Your assessment? Zilax checked his scanner for the 7th time in as many minutes. Commandant, the readings are: the biological weapon systems in that creature exceed anything in our databanks. Bite force that could crush starship hull plating. Reaction time faster than our tactical AIs. And according to the human, it's not even considered particularly dangerous by Earth standards. That's because he's not dangerous, Emma said, scratching behind the German shepherd's ears. The dog's tail wagged, tongue lolling out in what humans apparently called a smile. Zeus is literally afraid of our vacuum cleaner. He's a sweetheart. The human named her weapon of mass destruction after an ancient deity, someone whispered in the observation deck. No, Emma laughed. Zeus isn't a weapon, he's family. I brought him because you asked for a demonstration of human-animal combat partnerships, and I figured starting with the basics made sense. The basics. Zilax felt his breathing sacs constrict. This creature that could theoretically tear through a combat mech was the basics. Instructor Williams, Kaeldra's voice carried the weight of someone making a decision that would echo across star systems. The Galactic Council has debated humanity's application to join our military training programs for 6 cycles. This demonstration will determine that decision. Please proceed when ready. Sure thing. Emma turned to Zeus, who was now investigating an interesting smell near his back paw. You want to show them what we practiced? Zeus barked once, a sound that made half the cadets flinch, and returned to sitting politely. Right then. Emma looked up at the control booth. Whenever you're ready, Instructor Zilax. Oh, and maybe start with something easy? Zeus had a big breakfast, so he might be a little sleepy. Zilax initialized the combat simulation at level 7, the standard used for final examinations. Activating Scenario Alpha 7, hostage rescue with heavy enemy resistance. The arena floor shimmered as holographic enemies materialized, 20 armed combatants with military-grade shields and weapons. The simulation was sophisticated enough that getting shot would deliver a painful shock, and getting killed would mean automatic failure and a very unpleasant medical scan to confirm no permanent damage. Combat cadets, you may begin. 12 of the Academy's top students rushed forward with textbook precision. Their movements were perfect, exactly as the manuals prescribed. Suppressing fire, tactical advancement, shield coordination. The holograms gunned down 8 of them in the first 30 seconds. Predictable, Zilax muttered, making notes. They're following protocol, but... Zeus, seek. Emma's voice was conversational. Not a command bark, not a war cry, just 2 casual words. The dog moved. Zilax had analyzed combat footage from 1,000 species across the galaxy. He had personally trained warriors who could move at speeds that blurred camera feeds. He had seen combat drones with reaction times measured in microseconds. None of it had prepared him for watching a family pet dismantle a combat scenario. Zeus didn't run, he flowed. Low to the ground, using angles that shouldn't have existed, moving through the combat space like water finding cracks. Every holographic enemy that turned to target him was already in the wrong position. The dog's trajectory seemed to predict where enemies would be before they moved. "By the void," someone whispered from the observation deck. "It's using pack-hunting algorithms." "No," Kaldra breathed. "It's not using algorithms. It's thinking." Zeus hit the first holographic enemy with his shoulder, a controlled impact that the simulation registered as a full-force tackle. The enemy went down. The dog's jaws closed around the simulated weapon, twisting it away with a precision that suggested he understood exactly what he was doing. "Good boy," Emma called out. "Remember, soft mouth." The weapon clattered away, undamaged. Zeus was already moving to the next target. The remaining cadets had frozen, watching this creature do in 15 seconds what they'd spent years training to accomplish. "Instructor Williams," Zilax's voice was strained. "What is your animal doing?" Emma looked up from checking her phone. "Oh, just basic target discrimination and threat neutralization. We practiced this in the park last week, though obviously without the holographic bad guys. Used tennis balls instead." "Tennis? Balls?" "Yeah, you know, for fetch," Emma smiled. "Zeus loves fetch." Zeus had reached the hostage simulation, a holographic civilian cowering behind a barrier. The dog sat down next to it, looked back at Emma, and barked once. "Objective secured," Emma announced. "Zeus, return." The dog trotted back, tail wagging, and sat at Emma's feet. He looked incredibly pleased with himself. The combat arena was silent except for the sound of Zeus panting happily. "Level 7, Zilax said slowly, checking his display 3 times. He completed a level 7 scenario in 42 seconds. The Academy record is 8 minutes. "Oh." Emma reached down to ruffle Zeus's ears. "Sorry, should we have gone slower?" "I didn't want to bore him. Zeus gets antsy when things drag on." Kaldra's voice cut through the stunned silence. "Instructor Zilax, increase difficulty to level 12. "Commandant, that's—" "I am aware of what that is, Instructor. Proceed." Emma glanced up. "Just checking. That's still okay for Zeus, right? He's not going to get hurt or anything?" "The simulation cannot harm him," Zilax assured her, though his voice lacked confidence. "Level 12 is typically used to stress test our combat prediction models. No living being has ever completed it." "Cool, cool." Emma looked down at Zeus. "Hear that, buddy? They want to see you try hard." Zeus's ears perked up at "try hard," apparently an Earth phrase associated with extra treats. "Initiating level 12, Zilax announced. May the ancestors have mercy." The arena transformed into a war zone. 50 holographic enemies materialized, armed with heavy weapons. The terrain shifted into a multi-level nightmare of cover points and kill zones. Automated turrets emerged from the walls. The scenario was designed to be impossible, a pure mathematical exercise in testing combat simulation limits. Emma yawned. "Is this the actual simulation or still the loading screen?" "Loading screen?" Zilax stared at his display. "Instructor Williams, this scenario has a projected casualty rate of 100% for any organic combatant." Zeus, play. One word, casual. The same tone she might use to tell him it was time for a walk. Zeus exploded into motion. Not the careful, measured movements from before. This was something else entirely. The dog moved like physics was a suggestion rather than a law, hitting angles that made the combat prediction AI throw error messages. "He's in 4 places at once," a cadet's voice, high with panic. "Impossible," another instructor snapped. "It must be a sensor glitch." Zeus took down the first turret by somehow jumping at an angle that put the turret's own fire into its power core. The explosion was catastrophic enough that 15 holographic enemies went down in the blast radius. Did the animal just calculate a ricochet trajectory? Kaldra stood up in her observation pod. "Someone check that footage." Emma was watching with the pride of someone whose child just hit a home run. "That's my smart boy, yeah, Zeus. Who's clever?" Zeus barked, a sound of pure joy. and proceeded to treat a combat scenario designed to be mathematically unwinnable as if it were the best day of his life. An enemy cluster tried to flank him. Zeus dropped low, slid between their legs with a precision that suggested he'd measured the gaps, and came up behind them with jaws closing on simulated weapon systems. 3 enemies down, weapons intact because Emma had said soft mouth. He's not killing them, Zilax realized. He's disarming them. Well, yeah, Emma said. Zeus is trained for apprehension, not elimination. He's a good boy, not a murder machine. A good boy. This creature that was currently dismantling a scenario that had defeated the galaxy's finest warriors was classified by its human as a good boy. Instructor, the combat AI is requesting emergency shutdown, a technician called out. It's registering Zeus's movement patterns as errors in the simulation matrix. Denied, Kaeldra ordered. Continue observation. Zeus had reached a vertical wall, a 30-foot barrier that the scenario designers had included as an absolute limit to movement options. The dog looked at it, looked back at Emma, and then simply ran up the wall using handholds that technically existed, but no organic being should have been able to use in real time. Vertical assault, Zilax's voice cracked. The creature weighs at least 30 kilograms. The physics... Zeus does parkour every morning, Emma interjected helpfully. We've got this great park near the apartment with these awesome obstacle courses. He loves the challenge. Parkour, the human trained her combat creature using recreational activities. From his elevated position, Zeus surveyed the battlefield with what could only be described as tactical awareness. Then he jumped, a controlled fall that shouldn't have been survivable, and landed on a cluster of enemies with the precision of an orbital strike. 20 enemies left. Zeus wasn't even breathing hard. Emma, Instructor Williams, Zilax corrected himself. What exactly did you do to create this level of combat capability? Emma looked genuinely confused. Create? I didn't create anything. Zeus is just a dog. A German shepherd specifically. We bred them for intelligence and working ability. Police use them, military uses them, search and rescue, therapy work, you name it. You bred them? For how long? Oh, I don't know exactly. Couple thousand years? Maybe more? Emma shrugged. Dogs have been humanity's partners forever. We shaped each other, really. Several aliens in the observation deck looked faint. Thousands of years, someone whispered. They've been weaponizing loyalty for thousands of years. Zeus completed the scenario by sitting politely next to the objective point. All enemies neutralized. No lethal force used. Exactly 42 seconds from start to finish. Same time as the level 7. Emma had been right. He'd been holding back. Okay, so what's next? Emma asked brightly. Should we try something harder? Harder? Zilax felt his combat instructor credentials starting to crack. Instructor Williams, you just watched your companion complete an impossible scenario in the same time it took for level 7. How is that holding back? Well, Zeus isn't tired yet, see? She pointed. Zeus was playbowing at a holographic enemy that hadn't despawned yet, tail wagging frantically. He thinks this is fun. If he were actually working, he'd be much more focused. The implications hit Zilax like a particle beam to the face. This is recreational for him? I mean, yeah, it's basically fetch with extra steps. Emma grinned. Want to see what happens when I tell him it's actually important? No! Multiple voices shouted from the observation deck. Kaeldra raised a hand for silence. Instructor Williams, a clarification question. You mentioned this is a family pet? Yep, Zeus sleeps on the couch, steals socks, and once ate an entire pizza while I wasn't looking. Very normal dog behavior. And dogs are common on Earth? Oh, super common. There's like 90 million dogs just in the United States. And that's one country. Basically, if you're human, you probably either have a dog, know someone with a dog, or want a dog. The math was staggering. 90 million in one region of one planet. Instructor Zilax, Kaeldra's voice was very quiet. Initiate level 18. Commandant, that level doesn't exist for organic testing. It's reserved for evaluating weapon systems before deployment. I am aware. Initiate level 18. Emma perked up. Oh, now we're talking. Zeus, you hear that? They want to see what you can really do. Zeus stood, shook himself, and something in his posture changed. The playfulness didn't disappear, but it was joined by something else. Focus, intent, a predator's awareness. Emma, Zilax found himself using her first name without thinking. What did you just do? Told him it's important. Zeus knows the difference between play and work. She knelt down, looking the dog in the eyes. Zeus. Guard. One word. Everything changed. Level 18 initialized. The arena filled with enough holographic enemies to simulate a planetary invasion force. Automated defense systems that could theoretically hold off a small fleet. Environmental hazards that made survival itself questionable. The scenario was designed to test weapon systems capable of orbital bombardment, not living creatures. Zeus didn't move. He stood perfectly still, eyes tracking threats with mechanical precision, body coiled like a spring. Emma, Zilax began. Relax, Emma smiled, patting Zeus's head. Even my little beast isn't in fight mode yet. Fight mode. This wasn't fight mode. What exactly, Kaeldra asked very carefully, constitutes fight mode? Oh, that's when Zeus actually thinks something is threatening me, then he gets serious. Emma checked her nails casually. Right now, he knows this is training. Nobody's actually in danger, so he's just having fun. The observation deck had gone completely silent. Every combat instructor, every tactical analyst, every decorated warrior in the facility was watching a human casually explain that her companion animal had emotional gears they hadn't even begun to see. Zeus, play. The dog moved, not like before. This was something beyond combat capability, beyond tactical awareness. Zeus moved like he was part of the arena, itself, reading every threat, every angle, every possibility before it happened. He's predicting the simulation, a tactical analyst breathed. That's impossible. The level 18 scenario has randomized elements. Nothing can predict. Zeus predicted it. The combat AI controlling the scenario was sophisticated enough to adapt to threats in real time. It learned, evolved, created new strategies to overwhelm opponents. It was the pinnacle of galactic military technology. Zeus treated it like a game of tag with a slightly too slow opponent. Look at the pattern, Zilax highlighted the footage. He's not just reacting to threats, he's forcing the AI to make specific choices, then exploiting the openings those choices create. Emma beamed. Zeus took a strategy class. Well, I took the class and he came with me. He's really good at learning new stuff. A strategy class. The creature had academic training to go with its physical capabilities. Zeus cleared the first wave of enemies without breaking stride. The second wave tried to adapt. The AI changed its approach, using unpredictable angles and coordinated strikes. Zeus adapted faster. Every time the simulation tried something new, the dog was already adjusting, already moving to the counter-strategy, always 3 steps ahead. This is beyond our combat doctrine, Kaeldra stated flatly. Instructor Zilax, your analysis? Commandant, Zilax struggled to find words. We train warriors to follow protocols because protocols work. They're tested, refined, proven over thousands of engagements. But this creature, he's not following protocols. He's creating them in real time based on pure instinct and training. Not just instinct, Emma corrected. Zeus is thinking. Dogs are smart. They problem solve, they learn, they adapt. That's why we love them. Zeus had reached the scenario's final objective, a simulated doomsday weapon that needed to be disabled. Standard doctrine required a full tactical team and at least 20 minutes of careful demolition work. Zeus looked at it, tilted his head in that universal dog expression of curiosity, and then carefully grasped the simulation's power core in his mouth and pulled. The core disconnected with a satisfying click. Scenario complete. Total time, 1 minute, 14 seconds. The observation deck erupted in chaos. Impossible! The power core requires 17 individual disconnects. Nothing organic should have the jaw precision to look at the footage. He removed it in the exact sequence required for safe disarming. Emma stood up, stretching. Good job, Zeus. Who's the best boy? She pulled a treat from her pocket. Apparently, humans carried rewards with them at all times. Zeus crunched it happily, tail wagging like he'd just completed a casual trick rather than demolishing every combat doctrine in the known galaxy. Kaeldra descended from her observation pod, approaching Emma directly. Instructor Williams, I must ask you something, and I need absolute honesty. Sure thing, Commandant. Is Zeus your most combat-capable companion animal? Emma laughed, actually laughed. Zeus? Oh, stars, no. Zeus is a pet, a family dog. I didn't even bring my working dogs because I figured that might be a bit much for a first demonstration. Working dogs, Zilax repeated weakly. You have more of these creatures, and they're more capable. Well, yeah, Zeus is trained for companionship and basic protection work. Working dogs, like the ones with our military, they're trained from birth for specialized roles. Detection, combat, search and rescue, tactical assault, you name it. Emma scratched behind Zeus's ears. Though honestly, Zeus could probably do all that if I asked him. He's just never needed to. Your military, Kaeldra said slowly, has weaponized these animals? Weaponized is kind of a harsh word. We partnered with them. Humans and dogs have been working together for like 15,000 years, maybe more. We protect each other, hunt together, live together. It's symbiosis. 15,000 years. The galaxy's oldest military alliance was barely 3,000 years old. Instructor Williams, Zilax had to ask, what other animals has humanity partnered with? Emma brightened. Oh, tons. Horses for transportation and cavalry, dolphins for underwater operations, elephants for heavy labor and ceremonial purposes, birds for reconnaissance, cats for pest control. Though honestly, cats mostly partnered with us because they wanted to, and there are these really cool programs working with rats for landmine detection and… Stop. Kaeldra held up a hand. You're saying Earth has an entire ecosystem of species that humanity has integrated into your civilization? Well, yeah, we're social creatures. We like company, Emma grinned. Plus, animals are great. They're loyal, loving, and they see the world differently than we do. Makes us better to have them around. Zeus, hearing the word loyal, wagged his tail and leaned against Emma's leg. The gesture was simple, affectionate, completely at odds with the combat monster they'd just witnessed. The dog loves her, someone whispered from the observation deck. It's not programmed loyalty. It's genuine emotional attachment. That's the weapon, another voice replied, awed. Humans didn't create a combat system. They created love, and it fights for them. Zilax looked at his datapad, at the recordings of Zeus casually dismantling scenarios that were supposed to be impossible, and then at Emma Williams scratching her dog's ears like they'd just returned from a walk in the park. Commandant, he said quietly, we need to completely restructure our understanding of human military capability. Agreed, Kaeldra replied. Instructor Williams, one final question. You mentioned Zeus isn't in fight mode unless he believes you're threatened. What would fight mode look like? Emma's expression shifted slightly. Honestly? I don't know. Zeus has never actually needed to go there. The few times someone's gotten aggressive near me, they backed off the second they saw his body language change. Dogs are really good at communication. But theoretically, Zeus would do whatever it took to keep me safe. No hesitation, no doubt, total commitment. Emma's voice softened. That's what makes dogs amazing. They don't just work with us. They love us. And they'll do anything for the people they love. In the observation deck, every combat instructor was recalculating everything they thought they knew about warfare. Because humanity hadn't built better weapons, they'd made friends with theirs. Kaeldra called an immediate meeting of the Academy's senior staff. Emma and Zeus were asked to wait in a comfortable lounge, though lounge felt inadequate for a room designed to accommodate visiting dignitaries who could potentially end civilizations. Zeus found the couch immediately and claimed it with the confidence of a conqueror. Emma pulled out her phone and started scrolling through messages. In the conference chamber, panic was setting in. "We cannot allow humans into our military programs," one instructor argued. "The tactical advantages they possess are too significant. They dominate every operational theater." "We cannot exclude them from our military programs," another countered. "If they're not with us, they could be against us. Have you considered what would happen if humanity decided we were threats?" Zilax pulled up the footage from the demonstration. "Look at this, frame by frame. The dog, Zeus, is processing threats at a rate that suggests borderline precognitive capability. But it's not precognition. It's pattern recognition developed over thousands of years of evolution and selective breeding." "Selective breeding," Kaeldra mused. "They didn't just find these animals and train them. They shaped them, generation by generation, to be perfect partners." "It's the most sophisticated weapons development program in galactic history," a tactical analyst said. "Except they don't see it as weapons development. They see it as friendship." Someone pulled up Earth's historical database. According to their records, dogs were the first species they domesticated, before agriculture, before written language. Before civilization itself, humans looked at wolves, apex predators, and said, "Let's be friends." And the wolves agreed, Zilax added, because humans offered something more valuable than dominance. They offered partnership. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "How many species has the galaxy domesticated?" someone asked. "3," came the answer. "All of them livestock for food production, and even those required extensive technological intervention. Humans have domesticated hundreds of species. They did it with nothing but patience, trust, and mutual benefit, and now those species would die for them." Kaeldra stood. "We're looking at this wrong. We've been so focused on the combat capabilities that we've missed the real demonstration." "Commandant." Instructor Williams called Zeus her little beast. She brought her family pet to demonstrate military capability. "Do you understand what that means?" Kaeldra pulled up an image of Zeus sleeping on the couch in the lounge, completely relaxed. "Humans don't separate their weapons from their families. They are their families." "By the void," Zilax breathed. "Every human ship, every human installation, every human military operation, they're not deploying alongside weapons. They're deploying alongside loved ones who happen to be incredibly dangerous. And those loved ones will fight with complete commitment because they're not following orders. They're protecting family." The tactical implications were staggering. An army that fought not for duty or honor, but for love. Warriors who couldn't be broken because their bond with their human partners transcended logic or fear. "We need to bring them in," Kaeldra decided. "Not as threats to contain, but as partners to learn from. If humans can create this kind of bond with other species, imagine what we could learn about cooperation, about trust, about building genuine alliances." "Agreed," Zilax said, "but we need new protocols. Everything we know about combat doctrine just became obsolete." "Then we'll write new ones." With human input, Kaeldra headed for the door. Instructor Williams is about to become very important to this academy. They returned to the lounge to find Emma throwing a ball down the corridor, while Zeus chased it with the same enthusiasm he'd shown dismantling Level 18. "Sorry to keep you waiting," Kaeldra said. "No problem." Emma caught the ball Zeus returned and threw it again. "We've been working on his fetch technique. He tends to drop the ball just a bit too far away, so we're practicing precision returns." "Precision returns." She was training a creature that could defeat invasion-level scenarios to have better fetch etiquette. Instructor Williams, the Academy would like to offer you a permanent position, Kaldra announced. We need to completely restructure our approach to combat partnerships, and we believe humanity has expertise we desperately need. Emma brightened. Really? That's amazing. Though, I should mention, I'm not actually a combat specialist. I'm a K9 trainer. I teach dogs and their handlers how to work together. The combat stuff is kind of secondary to the relationship building. The relationship is the combat advantage, Zilax said. We see that now. Cool. So what would I be teaching? Everything, Kaldra replied. How to build trust with other species. How to create partnerships that transcend simple training. How do you do it, Instructor Williams? How do you create such profound loyalty? Emma looked down at Zeus, who had abandoned the ball to lean against her leg, looking up with absolute adoration. You love them, first, unconditionally, and then they love you back. It's not complicated, it's just commitment. Simple words, revolutionary implications. We'll need to adjust our facilities, Zilax noted. If you're bringing more animals for demonstrations? Oh, I was actually thinking about that. Emma pulled out her phone. My daughter has been training her dog, a border collie named Luna, for agility competitions. Could I bring her? Luna's great with tactical problem solving, and it might be good to show the cadets what a beginner-level working dog looks like. Beginner level. Zeus was apparently intermediate at best. Your daughter trains combat animals? Kaldra asked carefully. What? No, Luna's not a combat dog. She's a pet, but she's wicked smart and loves learning new things. I figured she'd enjoy the challenge. Emma scrolled through photos. Here, look. Luna can clear a 6-foot wall, navigate complex obstacle courses, and she's learning to discriminate between different scents for fun. For fun. Humans trained apocalypse-level capabilities into their animals for recreational purposes. Bring your daughter, Kaldra said. Bring Luna. Bring any humans and animals you think would help us learn. Awesome. Fair warning, though. My daughter is 12, so she might ask a lot of questions. She's in that phase where she wants to understand everything. A 12-year-old human with access to an animal capable of defeating military scenarios. The galaxy wasn't ready, but it was going to have to learn. 3 months later, the Galactic Military Academy looked very different. The new Department of Interspecies Combat Partnerships occupied an entire wing. Training scenarios had been rewritten from the ground up. Combat doctrine manuals were being revised to include chapters on emotional bonding and trust building. And in the center of it all, Emma Williams taught basic partnership to a class of utterly bewildered alien cadets. Okay, so the first rule of working with another species, Emma explained, is understanding that they're not tools. They're individuals with their own thoughts, feelings, and preferences. Zeus, demonstrate. Zeus, who had been awarded an honorary rank of Combat Specialist First Class by a very confused awards committee, was currently refusing to demonstrate anything because he'd spotted a visiting dignitary carrying what appeared to be very interesting treats. See, Emma grinned. Zeus has priorities. Right now, potential snacks outrank my commands. That's normal. He's not a robot. But how do you control him in combat? A cadet asked. I don't control him. We work together. There's a difference. Emma whistled, and Zeus reluctantly left the treat-carrying dignitary to return to her side. Zeus trusts me to make good decisions. I trust him to execute them in his own way. It's a partnership. The cadets looked skeptical. They'd been raised on military doctrine that emphasized control, hierarchy, and precise chains of command. Let me put it this way, Emma continued. How many of you would die for your commanding officer? A few hands raised hesitantly. How many of you would die for your best friend? Every hand in the room went up. That's the difference. Zeus isn't my subordinate. He's my best friend who happens to be really good at combat, and I'm his person who he'd do anything to protect. That bond is what makes us effective. Zilax, observing from the back of the classroom, made notes. Emma's teaching methods were unorthodox by galactic standards, but the results spoke for themselves. Cadets who completed her program showed marked improvement in tactical flexibility and creative problem solving. They were learning to think like partners rather than commanders. In another training room, Emma's daughter Sarah was teaching a group of senior officers how to read dog body language. So when Luna's tail is wagging like this, Sarah demonstrated with her border collie, she's excited and happy. But when it's like this, she's alert and focused, and this means she's unsure about something. A 3-star admiral was taking notes on dogtail positions. The galaxy had changed. Luna, for her part, was showing off by solving increasingly complex puzzle boxes that the Academy's engineers had designed. Each puzzle required a different combination of problem-solving skills, and Luna was treating them like the world's best game. Beginner-level working dog, Zilax muttered to himself. Luna had just solved a puzzle that had stumped the Academy's tactical AI for 2 days. In the advanced training section, a new program was being tested, pairing alien soldiers with Earth animals. The first few attempts had been challenging. Many species didn't have the same cultural framework for animal companionship that humans did. But slowly, carefully, bonds were forming. A Krell warrior who'd spent 30 years in combat had broken down crying when the dog he'd been partnered with refused to leave his side during a training accident. The dog, a retired military working dog named Bear, had stayed with him for 6 hours until medical help arrived, keeping him warm and alert. "I didn't understand," the warrior had told Emma later. "I thought the animal was a tool, a weapon, but Bear stayed with me not because he was ordered to, he stayed because he cared." That warrior was now the Academy's most vocal advocate for the partnership program. Emma stood in the main training arena, watching Zeus play fetch with a group of cadets who were supposed to be learning about tactical awareness. Zeus had somehow turned the exercise into a game where he'd only return the ball if the cadet correctly predicted which route he'd take. The cadets were learning more about tactical prediction in 10 minutes of playing with a dog than they had in months of traditional instruction. Instructor Williams, Kaldra approached with a formal tablet. "The Galactic Council has approved expanding your program to all military academies across the Alliance. They're requesting you develop a comprehensive curriculum." Emma beamed. "That's fantastic, though, I might need help. Teaching one class is fine, but a whole galaxy?" She paused. "Actually, I know a bunch of trainers back on Earth who'd love to help. This could be really good for dog adoption programs, too. Win-win." "You're thinking about adoption programs while revolutionizing galactic military doctrine?" "Well, yeah. There are so many amazing dogs in shelters who just need the right person. Or, I guess, the right alien. We'd need to do some compatibility testing, but I bet we could find great matches." Kaldra looked at Zeus, who had abandoned the cadets to investigate a particularly interesting smell near the arena wall. "Instructor, I must ask, what was the original purpose of your visit, before this became a permanent assignment?" Emma laughed. "Oh, right. I was supposed to give a 1-hour demonstration on basic K9 training, then head back to Earth. I have a grooming appointment for Zeus next Thursday." "A grooming appointment?" "Yeah, he gets shaggy if we don't keep up with it. Plus, he loves the groomer. She gives the best ear scratches." The creature that had fundamentally altered galactic military understanding needed regular grooming appointments and enjoyed ear scratches. "Well," Kaldra said dryly, "I'll make sure our new contract includes time for grooming appointments." "Thanks. Oh, and I should probably check if they have peanut butter here. Zeus gets his pills in peanut butter, and we're almost out." "Pills in peanut butter. What?"